All right, so the question is graph and find the equation. So if we're given a table of values of x and y, and let's see, we're going to have 0 and 8, we're going to have 2 and 5, we're going to have 4 and 2, and 6 and -1. So let's plot the points first. So we're going to go 0 and 8, so that's right here. 2 and 5 is right there. 4 and 2 is right there. And then 6 and -1 is right there. So if we were to take a ruler and draw it through, we'd have our line. But I'm not going to do that yet because it's asked us to find the equation. So what we need to find the equation is we need the y-intercept, or b, and we need m. So we need the y-intercept and m. So the y-intercept actually, or b, is really easy because it's already plotted on there, right? It's where the line crosses the y axis. So our b is going to equal 8. So all we need now, so we have that, all we need now is our m. So let's see. We know that these are perfect points, so all we have to do is figure out what the rise over run is. So slope is equal to rise over run. So from this point to this point, it's rising -1, -2, -3. So -3, and is running 1, 2. So it'd be -3 over 2. So m is equal to -3 over 2. So to write the equation, all we need are those two things, b and m. So we say y is equal to mx plus b. Y is equal to, and we sub in the m, so we have -3 over 2 x plus, and our b is equal to 8. And there's our answer. Now, we're going to do a little bit of a different question. This question is more of a real-world problem question, and this is what it is. So if a miner makes $25 per hour, how much would they make in 8 hours? What would be an equation that would represent that? Graph it. Okay, so let's answer the first question first. So if a miner makes $25 per hour, how much would they make in 8 hours? So the pay that they would get in 8 hours would just be 25, so their rate, $25 per hour, times the 8 hours, right? Simple math. So that's just $200. Okay, so they'd get $200 for working 8 hours. So what would be an equation that would represent that? Well, we actually just made an equation here. We said that the pay would equal the rate times the hours. Okay, so you could actually make an equation here that's just kind of like pay is equal to R times H. And we could actually just make a linear equation of it if we just say y is equal to 25 times x, where y is equal to the total pay and x is equal to the number of hours. Right? The rate isn't changing. The rate stays the same, so we can just put in the 25. So the slope that we're going to see, because remember we have y is equal to mx plus b, our slope would be 25, and there would be no b. The reason being is that, let's give this a graph here. So if we have x and y values, we're going to make a table of values. We're going to start at 0 hours, right? So at 0 hours, you get $0, right? If you don't work, you don't get paid. So as you can see, the y-intercept would just be 0. So what we can do is actually just we can give this a go graphing it. So let's try this. So we're gonna, because all of our values are going to be positive, right? You're not going to be owing money. We're just going to do a graph like this. So that would be 0 there. This would be the x, or the number of hours. And this would be the y, and that would be the pay. Okay, so the pay in dollars, and x would be the hours. So as we go up, as we work 1 hour, we get $25, right? Because we put in 1 here, it's 25. If we work 2 hours, we get $50. 3 hours, $75. 4 hours, $100, right? And so on and so forth. 5 hours, 125. 6, 150. 7, 175. 8 is 200. So this is what we're going to plot. So we're just going to say, okay, this is our hours. So that's going to be 1 hour. It's going to be 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going all the way up to 8 hours. We could keep going, but we don't need to because our table is only going to 8 hours. Now on the pay scale, if we went up by ones, we would have a really, really, really tall graph. So let's not do that. Let's just go up by 25s, right? We could even go up by 50s if we wanted. It doesn't matter as long as the steps are equal. So as long as we're going up by 25, 25, 25. If we went up 25, 25, 100, 25, 25, that wouldn't make any sense because we'd have a weird jump in the graph. So let's see here. Our next one's going to be 75, 100. Let's see here. So 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200. Okay, so our first point is just 0, 0. And I'm going to plot this in purple so it's easier to see. So 0, 0 is our first point. Our next point is 125. Next point is 250. Then we have 375. We got 4, 100. 5, 125. 6, 150. 7, 175. And 8, 200. So this is the graph that represents or that shows us how much we would make. And actually, if you extend this graph, you could actually see how much you could make in, say, 200 hours. And all we're doing is saying, okay, if we put in, 200 in here and for x, what would y equal? If we put in 200 for x, we would actually be able to figure out how much we would make in 200 hours. So this is basically what you do anyways in your real life, right? You calculate how much you're going to make. But all we're doing is we're making a formula for it. So it's actually not fancy at all. All it is how much you're getting paid times how many hours is going to be your total pay. So question B is a little bit different. So if the data miner gets a bonus at the start of each day of $50, how would the equation in A change? So our equation in A was y is equal to 25x. But that was when they don't get a bonus. If you get the bonus at the start of each day, then all of a sudden, instead of starting at $0, you're going to be starting at $50. So if I showed on the graph here, we're going to be starting at $50. But then after that, we just go up the same. So all that would change would be the y-intercept. So if it's a bonus at the start of the day, all we do is change b, right? Instead of b being 0, which is what we had here, b would be 50 because you're starting at 50. So then if we were to plot that, and we can just use our slope, we know we're going to go up 25 and over 1, up 25 over 1, up 25 over 1, then we'd see this as our line. And see, at 8 hours, instead of making $200, if we extend our axes a little bit further, we'd say 225, 250. At the end of 8 hours, they'd make $250, which makes sense because at the start of the day, they get $50 extra.